Hello.
May I present Josh Rhys-Davies.
What is this thing on? Hello.
And Sir Corey Feldman.
And of course, the leader of the rings, I mean the lord of the, the Goonie, John Astin.
Right, who's got the first sister?
What was it like making Lord of the Rings? Sorry. Go ahead. Something else, anyway.
Oh, nice. So what were his favorite lines from the movies?
Asks, but in interest. You go first. First you gotta do the trouble shot.
You gotta do the trouble shot. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Do the trouble shuffle pretty late.
I know that a few years back that when all of the records and Lord of the Rings had different accents, and I thought it was very awesome that they just wanted to have it in fellowship, kind of had a different accent about that. Why did you guys make that choice?
Well, the reason I did was because
He was the lost hobbit.
I'm a dwarf, Corey. No, elf. No, you're an elf. By temperament, an elf, for sure. Just don't give me what you speak. We had two dialect coaches, Andrew Jack and Roisin Carty, and they, Andrew's training was at the London School of
Music and Romantic.
something like that. Anyhow, they're very serious dramatic credentials, and then Roisin was a linguist, Irish lass, and had worked on a few movies, and they were brought down and put in they had at the studio where we worked, they had all these portable offices that kind of looked like, I don't know, little, you see on a construction site or something like that. Go talk to performers in there. So they had one, and it was the dialect trailer, and you'd go in there, and for 6 weeks before filming, the other hobbits and I would go in, and I think everybody went in on their own, different species. And they had these great things on the wall, these like a diagram of the mouth, and we talked for hours about how your tongue works with your teeth and what it means to speak, from your diaphragm and all these kind of things. And then there was they wanted to build on our own. Billy Boyd is Scottish, so the two they decided would kind of have a certain flair there. My guy was they got a recording of an apple farmer. And they would play, the guy said, if I wasn't sounding right, like there was one thing, we're chasing a ring wraith, and I go, get down! And Roisin came up to me afterwards and said, now, Sean, that one went a little bit, get down! Okay. So they played my little prompt, and they said, well, that's a nice shiny apple. So that's it. And they picked, they really studied the stories and studied what Tolkien's, inventions were and tried to locate, make them seem not from here.
The intention was to find a different geography for...
you've heard it talk before, obviously.
It's a dwarf battle cry, pretty sure.
Everyone's a critic. Different geography for what Tolkien intended a prehistory for Britain. And so we all jigged around, and Peter said, well, where do you think he could be going? Well, for me, it was a choice between Ireland and Scotland, and I thought that Scotland had been a bit neglected lately, so I thought we'd try a sort of rather aggressive Scottish accent, and get your retaliation in first strands, eh? But the hobbits were more Lowshire, and we know from Tolkien's writing that that the Elvish is very much based on the sounds of Welsh. So it sort of just naturally fell into place like that. These guys put hours in trying to perfect these Loamshire accents, these Somerset accents. Very good too.
West Country. West Country. I kept a set of the vampire's teeth from Lost Boys. You mean favorite, like Lawrence of Arabia? Favorite movies, yeah. Well, I tell everyone my favorite movie is Gandhi. My actual favorite movie is Patton.
My favorite new movie, the next one.
I see you when it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Sean, I want to know, you're very old and I want to know if your parents had any design. Did they have an influence on you wanting to be an actor?
To my parents, John Aston, Gomez, the original Addams Family television show, and my mom, Patty Duke, Academy Award winner for The Miracle Worker. She was like 13 or something, 14. Yes, they had a massive influence on my wanting to. Yeah, I mean, they literally, my mother literally gave me a career. You know, some people have to work for it, and I kind of had mine handed to me on a silver platter. So, and my dad was very, you know, enjoyed working with me. You know, the Goonies audition. You know, I don't even know your Goonies audition story. Oh, you already knew Dick? Did you already know Dick?
Don't call me names, Sean.
Did you already know Richard? No, but anyhow,
Spielberg, actually. Remember? I think Gremlins, because Spielberg. Well, actually, it's even longer and more convoluted than that, because, in fact, my Goonies process started on E.T.
I did not.
Well, okay, so here's a summary. I'll try and make this brief. So I auditioned originally for E.T., and the original script of E.T. was going to be a story about Elliot and his best friend discovering an alien, not about Elliot and his brother and his sister. So it was actually a little buddy movie about these two kids and the alien. So I went in and I auditioned for Steven, and he loved it, and he was like, let's do this together. So I was actually cast to be the lead role in E.T., which was like an equal part to Henry Thomas. But anyway, so I went down there the day that I was told, like, I got the audition. He said, come on down, I'm doing this new movie called Poltergeist. Maybe you've heard of it? I wasn't in it, but anyway. But yeah, anyway, so I went down to the set. I actually was there the day that they were doing the part where they were flying out the window, and I got to see them tumble that whole set upside down and watch Heather Rourke flying through the air and stuff. So it was a pretty good day to visit the set. Anyway, so while I was there, I said, yep, it's yours, you got this part, it's going to be amazing. We became the best of friends. And then, like, I didn't hear anything for like 6 months. And I was like, man, what did I do wrong? I just pissed him off or something. And he calls me up at home and he's like, hey, I'm really sorry. Bad news. Good news is, I love you, I think you're amazing. Bad news is, you're no longer in the movie. I was like, of course not, you know, that's my luck. So he said, but I feel really bad about this. We did a major rewrite, and now the story is going to be about Elliot and his family, and it's no longer a buddy movie. However, I promise that I will put you in the next movie I make. Well, the next movie that he made was Gremlins. And I came in, I did Gremlins. Joe Dante and I hit it off really, really well. And then Steven ended up not directing it and gave it to Joe. And then they, I guess, liked something that I did when I was standing next to the puppet. And they were like, hey, we can do this again. So then I went in, so then I get another call from Steven, and he's like, hey, I want you to come into my office on a Saturday. I'll never forget this because it was a Saturday afternoon. I want you to come in on a Saturday afternoon to Amblin and talk to me about a new movie. I was like, gee, Steven, I really can't make it. Okay. So I went down there, and when I got to Amblin, we all sat around the big conference room, and Steven said, okay, listen, I've got this idea. What do you think about like Indiana Jones and a group of kids? And I'm like, that sounds a little weird, Steven, to be honest with you. He's like, no, I mean, it's like an Indiana Jones movie, but instead of Indiana Jones, it's a group of kids. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So he said, well, I'd love you to do it. So if you're interested, would you be interested? And I was like, yeah. As long as I don't drop the ball, I would hate to do that. So anyway, he said, okay, great. And we were supposed to do it, and everything was honky-dory until like another 6 months later, I got the phone call from Steve and said, hey, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm no longer directing Goonies. I've got this other guy coming in, he directed Superman, and he'd like to have you read for him. I was like, gee, just kick the dog, why don't you? Just kick the dog when he's out of the park. Okay, fine. So I went and I actually had to do a whole other auditioning process, read for Dick, and then Dick and I got along like even better than Steven and I, and henceforth, I did eventually get the job at Goonies. But not for the fact that in the waiting room on the final audition for Goonies, which I think there was like 5 altogether, on the final callback for Goonies, in the big giant waiting room in Amblin, sitting just right across from me was a young actor that nobody had heard of yet named Corey Haim, who was auditioning for Al. Yeah.
Have you told, is Sala or Wall told like how you came to do that? Is that a Wall told story?
No, well, we can talk about that, but just apropos of your E.T., I was doing Raiders of the Lost Ark. In Tunisia, and I came down for breakfast one morning, and there was a different person there, and she said hi, and she introduced herself as Harrison's girlfriend, and so I said, so what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm writing a film for Stephen. And I said, oh yes, so it sounds interesting. And what's it about? And she said, well, it's about a funny little man who comes down from space, and he meets a little boy. And the more she talked about this, the more I thought, this will never get made. That was E.T. My judgment is impeccable, really.
One of these days, Steven's gonna make a hit, soon. Keep waiting.
I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to do a sequel to Goonies, and there's no question in my mind.
I still didn't say that. That was him, for the record, FYI, I didn't say it, he did. And why did you leave it the commentary, Sean?
Of course.
Everybody get it? Oh, yes, yes, yes. You may notice that when I flip you these days, it's a little less effective than it used to be. Because I managed to donate a top bit of my finger to mechanical science. Anyway, we're in New Zealand, and my prosthetic makeup man is a genius, an absolute genius. So he says, John, I got this idea. And so he takes a cast of my other finger and puts it on this one, so I'm now quite intact. So the plan is, we cut it slightly, and we put a little bit of blood right in the middle of it. And I go up to Peter Jackson and say, Peter, I've had this slight little accident, and you always see the tiny little line of blood. And he says, oh, well, get somebody to look at it. And as he's doing it, I'm slowly moving it back, further back like that. He said, John, I think, get somebody to look at it. Finally, I pulled it right off. Got him.
So many ways you can go.
That's how you know, by the way, that's how you know that he's a seasoned pro. That's how you know. Because any other actor in that position would have been like, lawsuit!
This lady here, yeah.
I've heard anything about them reading and what each of your opinion is on how we're constantly reading foods that are awesome.
I mean, that used to be awesome. Until they ruined it. No, I don't mean our movie, I mean the other one.
my feeling on this has changed. I used to be a real purist and think, when you've made something, like Miracle on 34th Street, they Les Mayfield remade, the guy directed me in Encino Man, and it wasn't a movie that I thought, it wasn't a movie that needed to be remade. But having said that, now I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Nobody can ever take away what Raiders of the Lost Ark is, or what Goonies is, or Lord of the Rings. They're perfect in space and time, and they mean something to the people who saw them when they saw them, whatever age they were, or with Goonies over the 20 years, since 26, almost 27 years since we made that, people come up to me and they say, all I have to do is watch the first 30 seconds of that movie, and I'm back in my backyard in 1985, right where I used to go out and play Pirate Adventures and stuff. That movie just captures that for me. No, nothing will ever stop that. But there are so many. I mean, if you go to the Artists Alley over here, or at any of the conventions, there's so many people creating, so many musicians and craftspeople, and if people are inspired to reinterpret work or don't have a facility yet with their own imagination to kind of come up with their own stuff, who cares? Let them do it. Let them reinvent. And if it sucks, you'll be, oh wow,
That wasn't
it
exactly
sucked.
a compliment, was it? If they don't have any creative ingenuity on their own, they can steal our shit all day.
Basically. No, I mean, listen, there's movies now. I think of another one Les Mayfield wanted to remake. I don't want to talk about Les so much, but he wanted to remake Flying Tigers. It was with John Wayne, right? About the American pilots who were in China during the Second World War, and they were fighters, and it was the total aspect of our war effort that nobody ever paid attention to. But these guys were the toughest, coolest. Great. Make it again. go. Well, I like these things where they mash them up. You take different genres and put them. Who cares?
Yeah, but Flying Tigers, the Wayne did, was not really the story of Flying Tigers. Watch this space in about 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Possibly with Harrison.
See?
That's just an ironic segue right there.
No, but I mean, they're going to remake Lord of the Rings. They will remake Lord of the Rings. Somebody will Hobbit, and they're going to be the Hobbit's coming out. It's going to be great, but they'll remake that. I mean, how many times have they done Spider-Man in the last month? It doesn't matter. People will develop, our capacity to select. I mean, that you just go to iTunes and you can put in a title and find 15 versions of the same thing, and we now have to develop our own disciplined viewing and listening habits. We have to decide why we want to watch something instead of just waiting. I mean, when most of the movies we're talking about came out, that was it. They were the only game in town. Superman, that was 1982 or whatever, and there was nothing else going on.
79.
79. All right. So my point just is now there is such a conflagration of options. People can just, so good. You go ahead and remake Casablanca, and you remake something, and in the back someone will come up with their own cool thing, and who cares? You, as an audience member, will go find what we want to find and enjoy what we want to enjoy, and that's how I feel.
And at the end of the day, let them mess it up themselves, right? Because look at Willy Wonka is the perfect example. Don't make it. Please don't do it. Please don't ruin that movie. Oh, you made it, and you didn't ruin that movie. You just ruined your own movie. So.
That guy's been fighting for it. Yeah.
I got a question. Thank you guys.
Hi.
I'm not really sure if it's a Hobbit, the book series, I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies, but my question to you all is why is it that Orlando and Elijah are in the end the big ones, but you John and you John aren't?
We're not as good
The reason
looking.
is,
Well, Orlando is an immortal elf, and he does feature in The Hobbit. Whereas Sean, one character wasn't even born. And I think mine is a very, very young little baby dwarf. But I did go and watch them filming the other day, and I walked into this room full of dwarves, big lads, and I went straight up to the one that I recognized and threw my arms around him and said, "Daddy!"
Not for nothing, but The Hobbit, I like The Hobbit more than The Lord of the Rings, the book. I just love it. It's just, it's a children's story, and I can't wait to see how he turns them into 2 movies. I don't know, you may have read the script, I have no idea how he's going to do it, but it'll be amazing. It'll be, you know, it'll be
Is Elijah in it?
But he went down for, I think, a week or 2 and did a couple of scenes, yeah. They have a whole, I mean, look, I'm trying to picture their job, you know, they're trying to do, that story has its own, it is arguably kind of a more universal experience because it's aimed at a younger and broader audience. I mean, you know, Lord of the Rings is this big tome, and The Hobbit's just a little thing, and you can read it to your 9-year-old. And there's 13 dwarves, and there's cave trolls, and there's a dragon, and there's like all these kind of cool, it's much more fantastic, I think, in children's literary sense. But, you know, Lord of the Rings made $4 billion in the theaters, and they've got, you know, when we got our little SAG trophy for ensemble cast, I think 24 of us went up there. How are they supposed to, like, decide to cram everybody in there? I think they probably looked at the story and followed the
I
story.
think if they use Where the Wild Things Are as a business model,
They got, yeah.
You know, you all probably know this, but I only discovered it relatively late on in life. Walt Disney wanted to buy Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit, and Tolkien refused to let him have the rights, and in revenge, he created Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That was his get back to Tolkien. Which is one of the reasons why, of course, Tolkien was absolutely furious and really didn't want to sell the film rights to anything, except that he knew that Lord of the Rings was unfilmable. And when he had a tax bill, he let it go, I believe, for about £100.
the Steve character in Snow White makes sense to me.
Yes, good lady. Yeah, you know, I sort of finished my parents' influence thing, and my dad worked with me on the Goonies audition for a few hours, and then drove me to Amblin, where Steven's offices are, and I went in and I totally messed the audition up. I mean, I just kept fumbling the lines and messing up, and I actually cursed at one point. God damn it, I can't. And Steven got up and walked out of the room, and I thought, wow. So not only am I not going to get this job, but likely not going to ever work for that guy again, because probably he's a family guy who thinks kids cursing is a bad thing. So, and then Dick Donner, the director, came up and, you know, kind of took a knee and asked me to do something, and I did it. And I could tell I did it well, but I still fumbled at the end, and I got in the car with my dad, and I said, Dad, we have to go work on The Explorers. We have to go work on The Explorers, which is Joe Dante's movie that was going, and I actually got present. My dad said, I don't understand. I said, I just messed up. I was too nervous. He said, it's impossible. You were too well prepared. It's impossible that you messed up. I said, I did. I couldn't spit out the words. He just was in shock. By the time we got home, there was a call with an offer for Goonies and then a test offer for The Explorers. So I had to decide whether to take the bird in the hand and to the bush. And I got to kiss the girl in Goonies, so I chose that one.
You know, I also was up for Explorers.
Huh?
I was also up for Explorers.
I'm sure we were there the same day.
And I also had to make the choice, do I want to do Goonies or do I want to do Explorers?
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I auditioned for like River went in, and then he came out sobbing, and I went in after him, and Rob Reiner and all of them were sobbing, and they were like, "Okay, go ahead."
It's so close. You mean for Sam?
Yeah.
Oh. So wait, so you auditioned for Sam but didn't get it?
Right.
I auditioned for Lord of the Rings but didn't get it.
Huh?
We both auditioned for Explorers and Love got it. This is a good score sheet. I like it. See, man. You got it. I didn't get it.
The Rudy movie, what happened was Rudy saw Memphis Belle, Rudy saw Memphis Belle, and the first scene of Memphis Belle, we're playing football with our shirts off in the Royal Air Force Base, Duxford or whatever, and he stood up in the theater and said, that's a guy I want to play me. And then they all raced out and saw Encino Man. So apparently that was a good one for people to look at to see if, and I went in, and it was, they actually wanted me, they came after me from the creative level, the writer, producer, director, Rudy wanted me, and then they Mark Platt, who's the president of TriStar at that point, he wanted Chris O'Donnell. And so they said, well, listen, we really want you, but you have to test for it. The studio's not going to buy it. So I prepared an audition, and I went in for David Anspaugh, and I was part nervous and part pissed off, and I did the audition, and it was more of a working session. Like, he was trying to get me, he really was trying to get me the job. They wanted me more than they wanted Chris. And my audition was kind of flat. But they kept working with it, and afterwards I said, well, is it there? Is that what you want? He goes, well, it's not performance level yet, but I think it's enough for them to see. So, which was an amazing thing. It's a total unique.
Dude, you were brilliant in that movie.
Thanks, man.
Right? Almost as good as the second Lord of the Rings, because that was like your best performance of your lifetime. Second one, right?
I had John Rhys-Davies for my inspiration.
I know, the scene where you guys were crying together, it was so beautiful. Oh wait, that's
I wasn't asked to audition for Goonies.
He said his prosthetic guy was a genius, come on.
I was thinking like Robert Davi's part. It's gonna be one of the Fratelli brothers.
Do you sing opera? Oh no.
Could have come in, he would have been like, Sloth, we must get you a baby Ruth at once.
What you must understand about the rich stuff is it is down the tunnel.
We're not going on another half-witted adventure.
John was really patient with me for the first year and a half of doing Lord of the Rings. And then at a certain point, doing Indiana Jones stuff, he looked at me like, oh, really? Like, again? Somebody from the back. Somebody way in the back. Way in the back. Anybody way in the back yet? Oh, no? Anyone? Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I got a question for all three of y'all. What was your favorite role or movie y'all did?
I really like Sean in Lord of the Rings, the second one.
Stand By Me. I thought John Rhys-Davies was great. Stand By Me
was great. He was great in Sliders. We did an episode of that together, actually. Anybody see that? Well, the great Jerry O'Connell.
Get back to the discussion about why do remakes. I think we did more remakes and more films than the last series of Sliders. Twisters, Tremors, Night of the Living Dead. The Island of Dr. Moreau, they used the same masks. That classic moment when I went and saw the writers looking around the new DVD release of Species. I said, we can take a piece of that and we can do it. Okay. No, not for me. I personally think, to answer the other question, that to make remakes demonstrates your creative redundancy. And if it's different to making something that you really do think was a good attempt and missed, and to try and make it better. I mean, that's good, but really, most of these things are just, what have we got in the vaults that we could reissue? No, that won't work. Okay, let's do a remake of it. You know, it was successful last time. And it's as dumb as that. William Goldman actually said in Hollywood, no one knows everything. And that's true. No one knows everything.
And the three of us can prove that.
Sorry, I didn't know when to sit down.
Over there with the baby. That seems fair.
It's actually his first convention, and he really wanted to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, give him the mic.
Somebody took my earlier question, but I did want to ask the three of you, what's one role that you all did before that you look back on and really wish that you could have earned that role?
Lord of the Rings.
Goonies.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Short enough, I couldn't get short enough. No, you know what? It's funny because the two auditions.
Don't let the don't. Don't let the don't.
Booby traps. The two jobs that I did get that turned out to be important movies that I really wanted. One was Stand By Me, River Phoenix's part, Chambers, and right, Chris Chambers, and then Chris O'Donnell's part in Percent of a Woman. And as I look at it, nobody else on earth should have played in River Phoenix part, but River Phoenix in that movie. And Chris O'Donnell, like for the reason I'm so right for Rudy and he's not, he's so right for that preppy, prep school look, just the lines of his body, the way he carries himself, I'm not right for that. So it's an interesting thing where those were two jobs that I was so hungry for and wanted so bad because I knew they were good and important pieces. I didn't get them, but if I could go back and change it now, knowing what I know now, I would.
Here's an equally interesting question. What about the jobs that we've seen our friends do that we would have given our eye teeth to play and yet know that they did it better? For me,
Lord of the Rings.
For me, Jerome Crabbe's performance in Farinelli, where he plays Handel, the musician, to me that is one of the finest performances I've ever seen. And I would have given my eye teeth to play it, and I tell you, I couldn't have gone anywhere as close to it as Jerome did. It is a matchless performance in a brilliant film that really cuts your heart out. It is just magic. Do go and see it if you haven't seen it or get it on video.
They said last question, so we'll do two more. The lady in the back of this one.
My cousin is one guy who you up here with some Ninja Turtles, and I was wondering how you guys got the job.
I don't know what she's talking about.
You did Ninja Turtles?
I don't know what she's talking about. We're supposed to bring that up. Go on.
It might have been a little apparent because of the Ninja Turtles shirt, hat, and tie around her neck, but that's just a guess.
I still can't tell them apart.
What was the question?
The question is, how did you guys get involved with the original movies and the series?
I got my first roles by making my first $1 million. That's how you get a Bentley. You know what I'm saying? A Bentley. No, I'm just joking. I was joking. A bad joke. Okay, it was a bad joke. Jeez, rough.
I had a friend ask me today, what's your favorite car that you own? I was like, between the two of them, the one I own and the Prius and the one my wife leases to get the kids to school, I don't know what it was. Like, well, no, the Ferrari, and I'm like, yeah, man, it doesn't.
That's a different business. That's not our business. We're not
You were Donatello, right? Who were you?
I was Donatello. Thanks for giving us that contract. Anyway, yeah, okay, so mine was actually, they just offered it to me, but, at that time, nobody really knew what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was. There were some, cult-type people from, the 60s that remembered the original comic book and all that stuff, but it wasn't really in, the mainstream, common, thought process at the time. It wasn't something that was on people's minds. Nobody even knew about it. It wasn't in our awareness. And then they brought me this terrible little independent movie, which was half made and really bad special effects, really cheesy. They did it on a super, super ultra low budget for that time. And it was not finished, it was not edited, everything looked terrible. And they go, hey, we want you to lend your voice to this for scale. They were like, for scale, please, what do you think? It's for the kids, though.
Scale's the least amount of money they can pay an actor who's in the union.
Right. And this was like, you know, I mean, like, on a career standpoint, I was doing pretty good because I had like 3 movies out with my name above the title. But that said, I was like, it's for the kids, you know, it's not really the kind of thing I want to do, but I see what they're trying to do. And I guess since it's like, I'm not getting paid anyway, I'll just kind of do it as like a fun thing, whatever, for the kids. Like, it's for the kids. And that was really good. Like, I really wrote it off as just like, it's one of those side gigs. I'll make a couple bucks, you know, whatever. And then it ended up being the largest grossing independent film in the history of cinema. Who knew?
That's why when the geek kid walks up to you with this, you know, camera and, you know, you never count out where the next thing that is going to connect with people comes from. For me, I think they wanted me to do it. I was doing a Disney character, Oso, Special Agent Oso. That's just the guy's favorite, I'm sure. And so my name was kind of like, I think, in those circles, on those lists, or whatever. And they wanted that, so I went in and auditioned for it, had a ball playing Raphael. Instead of saying, you know, it's all part of the plan, I was like, yo, dude, what's going on? It was fun. So we're about to do a big splash at Comic-Con. In a couple weeks, where we'll roll it out with the folks. They're expecting to make $250 million in toys before the show premieres in the fall. I mean, it's.
But now that you've said it here, I'm sure that they don't need to go to Comic-Con because they just got the scoop.
Yeah, you guys just scooped Comic-Con. All right, that lady in the back, then we're done. Yeah.
Hi, I apologize if this is a really redundant question, but this is for you three. Which film would you say you were most proud of, that you invested a lot in, that you walked away really proud of?
What film are we most proud of that we've invested a lot into? Raiders of the Lost Ark. This has to be Lord of the Rings. I mean, for me, it has to be. We spent years doing it. I've never worked so hard in my life. I didn't think I'd make it through. I literally thought I would die. Literally, you know, 6 to 8 weeks. It was non-union. They would do 17-hour days. You have, usually in a union film, you have turnaround, 12-hour turnaround, meaning from the time they wrap you for one day, the time you come back is 12 hours, so you can get like an 8-hour night's sleep, and go out to dinner with your family, and like whatever, read, sleep, vegetate, watch TV. This one, you get the Hobbit feed off, and they'd be like, okay, you gotta come back here in 8 hours, or 9 hours, or 10 hours, and you just, day after day after day after day after day, I looked in the mirror at one point all by myself, and I thought, oh my God, like you can't quit. There's no quitting. There's only, you know, and I had this like panic attack looking at myself in the mirror, like I don't know what's going to happen. But what I realized is that you are capable of a lot more than you think you are, in terms of sleep, in terms of energy, in terms of work ethic. And there's, you know, all kidding aside, John and a whole host of incredible actors, incredible people. The work itself, the source material, Tolkien's material, is really important world literature that is that's affected 1 trillion people, I'm sure, will for the, you know, as long as literature exists. So to be able to, for 2 years, carry the torch for one of the more important characters in the piece was a privilege. And you know, yeah, like that.
So far.
I would agree with you, actually. I think Lord of the Rings. I don't think you realize that Peter Jackson actually made a film industry. He created an entire industry in New Zealand to service this film. And it seems to me that his achievement in doing that is of the first order. I do not know of another successful writer, director, producer who actually started from scratch. There was no film industry in Wellington when he got there. And you know, anyone can direct a four-hander. A four-hander is a film with 4 people in it. 6 weeks, 2 cameras, 1 camera in. Anyone can direct it, and if the script's good and the actors are good, you can make a reasonable job. But when you have something that is so inchoate as Lord of the Rings, just to get that into with the complexity, I mean, the armorers, the costume designers, the groundbreaking computer graphics, the groundbreaking motion control, in every single area,
Excellent.
It was of the highest quality that you would only find in one or two of the great film capitals of the world. And he built it and made it there, and then had the nerve to try and do this film. Had the genius to get the money to put it together. I cannot tell you how extraordinary this is. This is a one-man sort of galvanizing an entire nation.
Lord of the Rings got a hook, like, come on. There's two, actually, that I can't really choose between the two because they're both my, I guess, favorite roles that I've done. But the one that I guess, like, as an artist that I'm really most proud of is the one that nobody knows and probably nobody in this room has seen. But, you know, the size of a film isn't what makes it great, and the budget of a film isn't what makes your performance the best. You know, what it is like the one thing that you really work the hardest at, blood, sweat, and tears, and that you are able to sink yourself into and dedicate yourself to as an actor. So for me, that character was a guy named Norman Forrester, and the movie was called The Birthday. The movie was called The Birthday. And it was a little Spanish film, which was all Spanish cast and crew, but shot in English. And I played a character that was very far removed, like completely removed from myself. But that wasn't even the part that made it so difficult. It was the fact that we accomplished something that had never been done cinematically before, which is that it was a movie that took place in real time. So from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, there's no breaks in the movie in between. So like you don't like close the door and go off somewhere else and come back a couple hours later. Like you walk through the door and they follow you, right? Like a reality show. But the other thing that made this cinematically different and a departure from other films was the fact that my character was in every single shot of the film. Not just every single scene, but every single shot of the film. So every time it started on anyone or went to anyone, it had to either start, stop, or somewhere in the middle was me. Which meant you're on set every day, all day, no breaks, no stand-ins, no other actors. I mean, it's you having to deal with it. And my wife was pregnant, ex-wife, was pregnant at the time with our child, and we were living in Barcelona, Spain, and I'm a vegetarian, and neither of us were smoking, and everybody in Spain smokes and drinks. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and they really don't even know what the word vegetarian means. So, as a human being, I was having a lot of personal tension anyway, but then on top of it, to have to completely depart and do this character, which was like this wacky, different voice, different face, different everything, nervous tick. I mean, it was a huge departure. So that was the one I'm most proud of, and that coupled with the other one, which is kind of a toss-up, is the very big kind of everybody knows it, Lost Boys. It was a character that I really felt was very removed, and I entirely engulfed myself in it. And when we got to the third one, again, back to the ex-wife, I literally just found out that we were getting divorced 2 weeks before I had to leave to Africa to shoot for 3 months, and I was executive producer and the lead role, and I was supposed to be there with my family, and then as it turned out, I was there with my assistant and my security guy, which is not very family-like. So anyway, I had to dedicate myself to that. Again, it was very, very hard pulling myself. So to me, it's always about when you're trying to put yourself in that embodiment of that character, and your headspace is somewhere very different, and removing that selfishness of the persona and becoming the emotion and the embodiment of this character and forgetting about what your real life drama is. So there you go, there's my answer. Thank you guys.